So today I want to talk about my experience with the Death Stranding. What was the Death Stranding? Were they really stranded? Who actually died? I don't know. I want to talk about that a little bit because I found this game a bit interesting and a bit quirky and a bit weird. Um, I'm going to start with the basics here of the Death Stranding before getting into the game because I feel like we need to get a little bit of lore out of the way for those who didn't watch the playthrough, for those who just haven't played the game, and for those who really could give a crap less. So, let me get that out of the way. Earth. Bad. Stranding. There's your basic lore. Some extinction entity type crap started happening. People were, dying left and right. The sky started spitting out rain that was time acid and made things age faster. If that makes sense. And then people started being able to see things from different alternate dimensions. But only certain people. People with dooms. What is dooms, you ask? Don't know. I don't know. I played that entire game and not once did I actually get a full explanation for what dooms is. It came up anytime in conversation as an acronym, which was capital DOOM, lowercase s. So obviously it was supposed to stand for something, and I missed the fucking plot on that. People with dooms in varying levels can see these beached things from other dimensions. And that's about as close as we get to that part of the lore. Aside from the sky spitting literal time acid and weird creatures from alternate dimensions just kind of walking around. And my cat wanting to play with his toys right now, of all times in particular. Yeah, that is the lore of the game. People are stuck living in underground bunkers, either solo or in large communities. And you're basically stuck in the scenario of, oh, I'm a porter. I do the dangerous, dirty, disgusting fucking job of getting things from point A to point B for people. Either contracted or uncontracted. And that is the literal pre-synopsis to the game before things get involved with the story. Your job is Amazon delivery driver in Baltimore. I will say, all things aside, I'm a huge Hideo Kojima fan, and being able to see a piece of work from him that had no one else really putting weight into it was kind of refreshing, because we're used to seeing Metal Gear Solid once it's been filtered through and, all the other company decisions come into play and stuff. This was pure, concentrated Kojima. And it was beautiful. I mean, I know be just beating it with the rest of the people who have already made reviews for this games, but in all honesty, this game is a couple years old already. I missed out on that. And I loved it. It was pretty. The landscape seemed lush and full. There was no awkward or out of place looking things. Everything looked really natural, really good. But once you strip that back, the gameplay was kind of bland. In the beginning of the game, you have no way to defend yourself against the BTs aside from being really quiet and really sneaky, which did not work out for me very well. And your goal was to take a stack of things from point A to point B. Be an ant, essentially. And there was no super duper major. Can you not? Mao. No super duper major things that stood between you and your goal. There'd be like a little river or a small hill that you had to traverse. There was nothing obstruction wise that you couldn't fix with like a single ladder. And it just got weirder and weirder for me as the game went on because it went from you are a defenseless ant, you are a defenseless ant who can do nothing but carry a breadcrumb from point A to point B. And then by the end of the game, it turns into, yeah, you're basically a war machine. You are an ant with a stinger, and you are fighting the hand that tried to smack you. And you're going to win. Now, my goal throughout the entirety of Death Stranding was to just not die as much as possible because the repatriate scene where you come back to life, little weird, creeps me out a little bit. But yeah, that kind of gets weird after a while. You know, you go from point A, point B, point A, point B, point A, point B. And there's some neat parts in there where you discover new cities or you have to do with, paranormal ish events or paracausal events, I guess it would be. It's weird to explain this motherfucker. You had all the time in the world today to play with your toys, and you choose to play with it right now when I'm at my desk. Once you start getting further into the story, you've got, characters that come in that have semi-ironic names. Like your character, Norman Reedus, his name is Sam Porter. And, and what does he do for a living? He is a porter. One of your, first contacts of people that you have to talk to in a regular business is Deadman, who was made from pieces of other people. Then you've got your president's guard named Die Hardman, who was a military man. And then you've got a guy with heart issues called Hartman. I I don't know if there was supposed to be like a long running joke with all those names being semi ironic, like, Mama was a mama. Heartman had heart problems. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not questioning it. It's Kojima's genius, and I'm going to let him have that moment. I like how they gave everyone bland, semi ironic names because I figure, yeah, in a post apocalyptic world, it's going to be a little weird to have, your regular ass name. You're going to go based on what you do. Like one of my favorite people to make deliveries for, his name was literally just the machinist. They never gave him a name, never gave him a real identity. They just said, yeah, it's the machinist. He makes things. That man gave me robo legs and he made my entire game better. And yes, I do mean that. Robo legs are the best thing ever. And with the Death Stranding 2, pretty game, pretty concept. I played the crap out of it. I didn't go through and do each and every mission because Hideo Kojima has a history of putting 200 plus missions in every game he's ever touched his hand on. And that's just not for me. I was trying to just play it to get the base experience out of it. I did a few deliveries here and there that were, on my way to wherever I was going because it just seemed polite or courteous to do that. And I mean, in all things, it was very bland gameplay, but it was interesting because it was a beautiful place. There was a you can build a road system. There's signs from other characters, players, and that's just the base part of the game. Now, if we start looking further into the issues surrounding you in the game, that's when the game gets interesting. I won't particularly say any of the boss fights have what would be the right word? Amazing gunplay. They don't stand out to me as the greatest thing I've ever done. They definitely make you feel very David Goliathy as you are tiny in comparison to whatever you're fighting. But it doesn't make you feel like, yeah, I really had to try hard to beat this. It was more of a, hey, did you pack your backpack good enough for this? Did you prepare yourself for this? And in all good things in gaming, there is one thing I will always love, and that is a Troy Baker appearance. And this game didn't have just one or two Troy Baker appearances. This game had a whole lot of Troy Baker appearances. This game saw Troy Baker and said, let's double down on Troy Baker. We can't have enough Troy Baker. Give us more Troy Baker. And I love that because he's become a video game icon for being the good guy, bad guy, the anti hero. And with Troy Baker's appearance in this game, I can honestly say I'm a bit of a fan. I like that he wants to, race us to the end of the finish for humanity. He wants to put us aside and say, this is what it is. I am the particle of God that permeates all things. Ignore that guy in the corner. It's interesting because he doesn't have a lot of roles that I've seen in history where he has like a super duper God complex. The I'm immortal complex, that's in almost all of his characters, but a God complex doesn't really follow too much for him. So seeing those both in the same thing for Troy Baker was an interesting take. And I'm going to try to say the next part spoiler less, but the switch up at the end with Clifford Ungar or Mads Mikkelsen, however you know him better, truly actually got me. Got me pretty good. I almost cried manly tears. Did not. And it was an interesting switch up. And it was like, oh, this makes more sense this way, but why is this still this way? Game never explained the other half of that stuff. But yeah, no, all in all, it was a fun game. Honestly, I give it a 10 out of 10. If you need to just do something that requires very little brain power and you're looking to do something that is just awe-inspiringly beautiful with a good soundtrack, it's the way to go. It's a Kojima game. You know what you're getting when you click on a title that says Hideo Kojima. You're getting different kind of gameplay, beautiful backgrounds, great music, and a title card for every person. Plus, big round of applause, Kojima is probably one of the first people that I have seen add a worn out boot system in a game about walking. Good on him for that. He has also included a pissometer. If you're doing a long cross-country travel and you take a sip of your flask full of Monster Energy drink, which I have no idea how that one got sponsored in there, and eventually you're like, oh man, my character could piss. I never had a situation where I chugged too much and I was forced to piss or I would die or something. But it was a nice little additive. Like, yeah, he's a dude. He's out in the wild. He's crossing land. His boots are going to wear down the more steps he takes. Yeah, but as much as he drinks, you're going to have to take a leak eventually. And, it's that kind of weird, ingenuitive gameplay. The real, like, the small details mechanics. It makes it truly a masterpiece. The Kojima style. I, again, will say 10 out of 10. I will finally be getting to playing my Assassin's Creed series up. I'm going to start spacing it out every other with a game like this because a little palate cleanser between me playing the ancient history of Assassin's Creed and still trying to keep up with new games is a challenge. So I look forward to putting out another video hopefully soon of some of my next long play. Until that time comes though, folks, please like, subscribe, and hang out some more. A bigger community means more games means more money means I get to sit on my butt more, and I love that. Thank you all.